Whispers in the Waiting Room. Chapter 1. The Distance Between Us. Claire Matthews sat in the passenger seat of the sleek black SUV, staring out at the falling autumn leaves. Her husband, Jake, drove in silence, his hands gripping the steering wheel with mechanical precision. The drive to the hospital was routine by now, just another one of Jake's annual checkups. But the silence between them was anything but ordinary. Jake had changed over the years. Once full of warmth and laughter, he had become emotionally distant, always buried in work, always traveling for conferences or late-night meetings. Claire had tried to bridge the gap, candlelit dinners, weekend getaways, soft conversations at night, but Jake always had a reason to be elsewhere. They barely touched anymore. And when they did, it felt like two strangers colliding. As they pulled into the hospital parking lot, Claire glanced at her reflection in the side mirror. Her honey-brown hair was tied neatly, her light blue eyes tired. She was only 35, but the emptiness inside her made her feel twice her age. Chapter 2. The First Meeting. Dr. Andrew Carter walked into the examination room with the kind of confidence that didn't demand attention, but quietly commanded it. Tall, lean, with a calm voice and kind brown eyes, he had a way of making his patients feel seen. "Mr. Matthews, how have you been?" Dr. Carter asked, glancing over the chart. "Busy as hell," Jake muttered, glancing at his phone. "I just want to make sure I'm good so I can get back to work." Claire watched the exchange, noticing how Jake barely made eye contact with the doctor. But when Dr. Carter turned to her and smiled gently, something flickered. "And you, Mrs. Matthews? You look a little pale. Everything okay?" he asked, genuinely concerned. Claire blinked, surprised. No one had asked her that in a long time. "I'm fine," she said softly. "Just tired. That can mean more than it sounds. You should take care of yourself too." Claire felt the warmth in his voice wrap around her like a blanket. In that one moment, someone had noticed her, not just seen her, but truly noticed. Chapter 3. Unspoken Words. Jake's test results required a follow-up. Another appointment. Another visit to the hospital. This time, Jake was stuck on a conference call and asked Claire to go ahead and just pick up the paperwork from Dr. Carter. Claire hesitated but agreed. Dr. Carter welcomed her into his office. He offered her coffee. They talked. Not about health or tests, but life, her interests, her hobbies, the books she used to read. He asked questions Jake never asked anymore. "You used to paint?" Dr. Carter said, surprised. "You still should. That's not something to give up on." "No one's ever encouraged me like that," she replied, caught off guard. When she left the office that day, Claire's heart beat a little faster. And it had nothing to do with medical concerns. Chapter 4. The Messages Begin. It started with a thank you text. "Claire, thank you for taking the time to talk today. It meant more than you know." Dr. Carter, "Of course, Claire. You deserve to be heard." From there, the messages became more frequent: morning greetings, inside jokes, thoughtful reminders. Jake barely noticed. Claire felt alive again. Her world became divided: cold evenings with Jake, and warm, bright moments of texting and occasional coffee dates with Dr. Carter. She told herself it was just friendship. That she was lonely. That nothing had happened. But emotional affairs are often louder than physical ones. Chapter 5. The Kiss. It was raining. Claire had dropped by the hospital with lunch for Dr. Carter, something she'd made herself, something she hadn't done for Jake in years. They sat in his office, sharing stories over sandwiches. "I look forward to these moments," Andrew said quietly, looking at her with soft eyes. "More than I should." Claire's breath caught. She didn't want to ruin it, but she also didn't want to lie to herself anymore. "I do too," she admitted. The silence that followed was filled with electricity. When he leaned in, she didn't stop him. Their lips met, gentle at first, then deeper. Passionate. Honest. Claire pulled away first, breathless, her heart thundering. "I'm married." Andrew nodded, his voice hoarse. I know. I'm sorry. But neither of them were. Chapter 6: The Affair. What followed was weeks of secrecy. Claire told Jake she was joining a local art group. In truth, she was spending time with Andrew, walking in the park, laughing in his kitchen, falling asleep in his arms. With Andrew she felt heard, touched, desired. But guilt gnawed at her. Jake didn't ask questions. He was too wrapped up in a corporate merger to notice. One evening, Claire returned home and found Jake asleep on the couch with an old photo album in his lap. Inside were pictures of their honeymoon, smiles, kisses, promises. She stood there, tears in her eyes, torn between the woman she had become and the one she used to be. Chapter 7: The Confrontation. It didn't take long for Jake to discover the truth. A forgotten phone on the kitchen counter, a message that buzzed and lit up the screen. Can't wait to hold you again tonight. Jake didn't explode. He didn't scream. He simply waited for Claire to walk into the room. Is it serious? He asked, holding up her phone. Claire froze. Yes, she whispered. It is. Jake stood up, eyes heavy. Do you love him? I don't know, she said honestly. But I know I feel alive with him. I haven't felt that with you in years. Jake looked away, tears in his eyes. Why didn't you just tell me? Because I didn't want to destroy you. Jake nodded. Well, you have. Chapter 8: The Aftermath. They separated. Quietly. With no lawyers, no shouting, no public scandal. Just two people who had drifted too far to find their way back. Claire moved into a small apartment. Andrew helped her furnish it. But life wasn't as simple as she thought. Andrew was kind, supportive, but he wasn't her savior. And she had wounds that no man could heal. She started therapy. Started painting again. Started reading to children at the local library. And Jake? He started seeing someone new, a colleague. Someone gentle. Someone who reminded him that love didn't have to fade. Chapter 9: Closure. A year later, Claire met Jake at a mutual friend's wedding. They hugged awkwardly. Shared a drink. Talked about old times. I forgive you, Jake said quietly, before she could even ask. Claire smiled with tears in her eyes. I never meant to hurt you. I know. We both got lost. They stood there in silence for a moment, watching the bride and groom dance. I'm happy now, Jake said. I hope you are too. Claire nodded. I'm getting there. Chapter 10: New Beginnings. Claire and Andrew stayed together, not out of guilt, but because they chose to grow together. He supported her career as an illustrator. She helped him open a clinic for underprivileged families. They didn't rush into marriage. They didn't pretend the past didn't exist. They just built something new, honestly, carefully. And on a quiet morning, as sunlight streamed through the curtains of their small home, Claire looked at Andrew and whispered, Thank you for seeing me. He smiled and pulled her close. Thank you for letting me. The end.